Hi everyone, it's Veronica and I'm here with a project share today. I am in a one-on-one swap with Natalie, who has put some bling on it here on YouTube. And what we decided to do was alter a cigar box and include five embellishments, two of each, five different embellishments, and make two of each one, which would give us the 10. We decided to do a card as well. And Natalie is a true vintage person, so she was doing vintage. I was okay with doing vintage, and then I thought, well, let me try shabby vintage. I think it's more vintage than shabby, what I ended up doing, but frankly, Scarlett, I don't know what I did, but hopefully she'll like it. So let's get started. I used the Prima Time Travelers Memories collection, and this is some really, really gorgeous paper. Just going to go through it real quickly, but they are simply gorgeous, 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 gorgeous papers. So I cracked open the vault to use those, and I used a lot of a lot of Wild Orchid Crafts flowers, trims that I had in my stash, and I think that pretty much covers it. Okay, so let me start with the card. This is the card I made using Spellbinders die. This is the Grand Labels 4, and you just cut the die and fold it in half. These two flowers are Recollections. This is Time Travelers. This is Jenny Bolin Vellum Butterfly and DCWV Pearl Bling here. And this is the Lacy Labels Spellbinders die, and then the oval die. And my nails are simply horrid, so please excuse those. They're not usually like this. But it's time to start a little fall cleanup in the yard, so my fingers act as tools sometimes. But they'll be done this week, so do pardon that. And this sentiment came from There She Goes Stamps. And it says, "You brighten my day." And then and what I did was cut another one of the Grand Labels dies, the one down from this one, and ran it through my Cuttlebug using the Victoria embossing folder. And then I inked the top of it with the Tim Holtz Antique Linen Distress ink. This is some seam binding that I had in my stash, and it came from Prairie Bird Boutique, and this pearl I had in my stash as well. And then on the inside I just wrote Natalie a note. So that's her card, and this actually fits in an A2 envelope, so that was pretty cool. And here is the box that I altered. Let me back out just a little bit. This is the box. And again, these were trims that I already had in my stash. This is the bottom. This is some of the paper from the collection. I used the Tim Holtz feet. And this is 2 layers of trim here. This is, what is that? Spare parts. This is a spare parts knob. I added more DCWV pearl trim around that. And this sheet of the collection, I took another one and cut this piece off of it and just curled the edges. I had this flower spray in my stash. This is from the Time Travelers Memories collection, and Wild Orchid Crafts flowers. This wooden key is from that collection as well. I added flat back pearl trim around the edge on all sides and then across the top as well to play off this pearl that was in this flower. And the embellishments inside. And we didn't specify which kind of embellishment to do, so that was kind of wide open. But here goes mine. I did some binder clips. And I cannot remember what paper I used on here. I think it's from the it is from the collection. I added some little trim that I had in my stash and some bling here along the edge. And I did the same thing on the back side. And this is one of those Tim Holtz fragments, and I just added pattern paper on it using glossy accents and just tied a little ribbon at the top. And the other one, using paper from this is from the Almanac collection. I took one of those marbles. Well, it's not a marble. The flat back marble thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I cannot think of the name of it. But anyway, they came from the Dollar Tree, and I just put a piece of the pattern paper behind that, adhered that to a metal piece that I got from Monica on the Scrap Yard, inked the edges with black soot, and this was a punch that came from Hobby Lobby, so I just cut it twice and offset it and then added a button in the center, and that little tiny button came from Joann's. So that's the binder clips. I did some spools, wooden spools. Here's the first one. And I watched Creative Zoe's video, Rosanna, to see how to put this together. I had always wanted to do one, and I thought it turned out really well. I just used trims and laces that were already in my stash. Same thing here. Added some flat back pearl trim, wild orchid craft flower, and some seam binding at the top. And here is the second one. I guess this is where the shabby part comes in. But I just had to do one. And like I said, Natalie is truly vintage. But I did tell her once before that, Luke, you need to come to the shabby side. But here I added some pink lace that I had, and I believe it was from Hobby Lobby. Some flat back pearl trim. I added Wild Orchid Crafts flowers here. These are the lilies, and a little rose there. And this piece, I think, came from Walmart in their jewelry section. And just added another pearl at the top and a little clasp. Okay, and then I altered some keys. This is the first one. And I believe these were Paper Studio keys. And I just took a metal piece, added a paper flower here, and that was Recollections, and then a Wild Orchid Crafts flower there. And on the second one, did that with pearls and bling. So Natalie, I put some bling on it. This piece came from the His and Her section at Hobby Lobby, and this was some pearl trim that I had in my stash. E6000 and I became good friends this go round. I also altered some buttons, and this was I was inspired by Beady Bomb Bomb 1 to do these. And I thought they turned out pretty cute. The buttons weren't as big as I would like them to have been, but I wanted buttons in black, and I really couldn't find any larger ones. But I just added cameo there, some trim here, Wild Orchid Crafts flowers and leaves. I stickled the flowers, and I added a little tiny butterfly, and that was an MS punch. And then this is just the back side where I put paper on the back to finish it off. And this is the second one. I used a little miniature dress form, found a Victorian image on the internet and added some feathers, and I did put some pink there. So I guess it's kind of shabby vintage, kind of, sort of. And I put ribbon and a flatback pearl here. So that is the second button. And I also did some clothespins, and these were inspired by Bona, who is Live, Love, Scrap. I used the miniature magnolia image, colored her up with my Copics. I inked inside the Spellbinders die. This is the scalloped circles, and I inked that with some Close to My Heart baby pink ink. And I covered the pins with some of the same paper that I used here, and that is the Fairy Bell paper. And this is the back side. This is a piece from Pretties by Elise. So I just adhered that to the back. And this is the second one. And I just kind of did, it was the same image, but I did it more in the earth tones. And I think that this is a distress ink, but I can't remember which one it is. And on the back, I added a doily, Wild Orchid Crafts flower, and some sprays that I had in my stash that came from Michael's. Okay. I'm going to have to adjust these because it keeps it from standing. And this is the inside of the box. Just papered the inside. Okay. So that is the box and my embellishments. And I also created for Natalie a pin cushion. And this is a Pinterest inspired pin cushion. This the ball inside here is from Michael's. It was with the mason jars, it's jar jewelry. I just adhered it to this big spool, and these came from Joann's that had the burlap on it. And Natalie, you will be getting the burlap. I just took it off. I put some Paper Studio paper on the spindle portion of the spool, and I left the rest of it natural. Added some twine. This doily came from Joann's, and this is a Wild Orchid Crafts flower. Use some jute twine here, and all of these are Wild Orchid Crafts flowers. I tried to make them cascade a little bit, and I also adhered some lace around the base, but just loaded it up with flowers. This butterfly is Recollections, and so is this one. So that is the spool, the pin cushion. And I also made her some stick pins to go with it. Okay. Those are the stick pins. Just various beads that I had in my stash. And this pin came from one of those warehouse sales. I don't know if it was Webster's Pages or Prima or what, but it's been a while back. But she can use these pins to put in her pin cushion. And that concludes the items for the swap with Put Some Bling on It. Thank you all so much for watching. I would love to hear your comments, and I hope you have a very happy crafting day.